Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Nut Bar Anime Podcast. And a special welcome to anyone, and this is a low shot because there were like 100 people in this room, but if anyone's listening from our recent panel at Anime Frontier, thanks for checking us out. It was a lot of fun. Glad you made it. We'll do some introductions just in case any of y'all are less familiar with us, starting with my friend here.
Wow, I'm your friend?
Well, depends on how this episode goes, as
Okay.
always.
Well, all right. Hey, what's up? I'm Juan. I go by Tex-Mex. I'm the shonen guy. Like I sure do love some action. But normally for this episode or for these preview episodes, we like to do the research, like read the synopsis and watch the PVs. I unfortunately had a very little time this week, so I only read the synopsis, and that definitely influenced my notes. So if my opinions differ from the others, that's why.
All right, I'm Chris. I did do my research this time. People think that I'm a snob, but that's just a mean way of saying that I have good taste. I'm kidding. I
I'm mean to
definitely,
you.
yeah, I like to think that I can appreciate anything, but I have high standards.
I'm Logan. I'm the podcast manga correspondent, and by that I mean that on these preview shows, I go through and I read at least the first chapter of every manga that's getting adapted to an anime, and I give my opinions on that. And my opinions are usually mostly pretty negative, but in my defense, the shows are usually mostly pretty bad.
And I'm Tim. I'm the one that fills in the crack. I usually try to check out a little bit of everything every season, and usually I'll find one or two shows that the rest of the people here pass over.
That is true. All right. And honestly, we are going to just get into it, but we're going to preface this and say that for anyone who's listened to this episode before, or this style of episode before, we're changing up the order a little bit. We're going to talk about the sequels at the end instead of the beginning. So if you're looking forward to that, just skip to the end or, listen to the rest of the episode. Be patient. And then we've kind of gotten tired of going through all of the really samey generic isekai adaptations that happen every single season and having very little to say about them. So we're actually just going to put them all into their own little section in the middle and go through them very quickly to get them out of the way. So look forward to that.
This is a new year. This is winter 2025, so we got to get a brand new format, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We got to mix it up, even though it's nowhere close to the new year when we're recording this. And hopefully it will not be when it gets released either, but TBD.
God, please. Please, actually, December release.
Okay, so we're going to get started with our first show.
All right. So this is Akuyaku Reijo Tensai no Oji-san. Juan, what's the English?
From bureaucrat to villainous, Dad's been reincarnated.
Mm-hmm. And from that title, it kind of sounded terrible, and that's what I was afraid of when I was going into it. But I was surprisingly charmed by the first chapter. In fact, hold on, let me go ahead and remind everyone why I do this stupid first chapter thing. I think that premise is maybe one of the least important aspects of an anime you can use to judge its quality. I think that it's harder for something bad to get great than it is for something great to get bad, and I think firmly that every great manga shows some promise in its first chapter, because while it can take forever for a manga to tell you what it's about, it always tells you what it is in the first chapter. And I'm going to let Akuyaku serve as an example, because when I read the premise, the old man gets a villainess isekai treatment, and he's like a 40-year-old middle manager. My first thought was that this was a terrible way to start off the new year of anime, and that I was going to quit this forever. But the premise overshadows two critical pieces of information. One, this isn't just an excuse to get fetishy, yet. And the author has put some thought into his characters. Like, the main character here, the salary man, is a very solidly defined personality. He's a polite middle manager who views being the villainess as a duty he has to fulfill. But he's also an old man. His idea of a villainess character is rooted in 70s anime, and also he just doesn't really have a mean bone in his body. So he keeps doing stuff that comes off as nice. And the dynamic between him and the heroine is also pretty solid. Like, he sees his daughter in her, so he finds himself being caring almost by accident. And the most critical bit that so many comedy mangas screw up is that I laughed at the punchlines of the jokes.
Whoa.
It's crazy. So this
The
is
bar is
actually
low.
a great... Yeah, so this is a great foundation for something good, and I think it's all here in the first chapter. I don't really know anything about the broader narrative, but I know it's going to be built on some pretty sturdy characterization, and I also know that the author knows how to construct a joke without over explaining what's funny about the joke. That's all I need to give this at least a casual recommendation. I don't know if this has legs, but I think it's at least going to be the kind of anime, that you can watch until you get bored. So I'm going to give this a soft recommend, and may 2025 be filled with so much pleasant surprises.
Yeah.
Like, I get a lot of like Isekai Oji-san vibes from this show. That I had very low expectations for that show, and that it proved to me like it was actually pretty funny. And then I also hate the villainous trope. Like, there's just so many villainous anime out there, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I actually kind of want to watch this one. So hearing Logan's recommendation on this does give me higher hopes for this show.
I will actually go ahead and hit on that because I think that's my biggest sort of question mark / hesitancy with this, is that I think this is a great twist premise, and the animation seems lively enough from the trailer. I think they're having a lot of fun with the production. It's a cool idea. Like Logan said, it seems like they've thought out some of the character interactions and how it will go. My main problem is that with any sort of, kind of like your Konosuba parody twist idea of doing a show like this, you are still working within the confines of the genre you're making fun of. And so therefore we are still going to have to watch a villainous show. And there's the narrative trappings of a villainous show. They are at a school with a bunch of rich kids and there's romance and all of that. And so I am worried that even within the premise, we still have to watch this villainous show play out. And I'm worried that that's going to end up losing me at some point. But all of that being said, I think this is a strong start. And I am definitely going to check it out. That's my concern. I need it to stay interesting.
You got anything else for us, Tim?
I've been hearing good things about this ever since the announcement. I had some manga readers that whispered in my ear that it was going to be peak, and it was the show doesn't seem to be disappointing. I think Logan was kind of right. It hit the notes about being kind of refreshing and charming with his power. Just the idea of this he has this dad mode that he will go into where he's trying to be mean, but he's just actually kind of a doting parent, and he triggers I don't know. You could there's little love flag points that gets triggered at the show where it's as he tries to be mean, he's actually doing that, and it's hilarious how he does that. And his so OP cheat power, I think it's called elegant mode, and it's his ability to turn his 40-year-old stallion man to translate into old-fashioned majestic fantasy skills. And I think the gags were funny. It landed. I think him trying to be mean but coming off as a sweet dad was great. His whole fun, his first confrontation with the main character when he's trying to be a villainous was already just and already trying to it felt fine, the villainous, and went into dad mode, and the main character already fell for him, and you could see the little things. I don't think they rely on the villainous trope. I get what Chris is saying, that he feels we're going to go through these beats again, but it feels like they're playing it very loose, and he doesn't have to worry about that. I also don't think you guys have actually seen enough villainous shows to be tied down by that.
No, but I will admit, but I mean, that there's a reason I don't watch them, is because I don't find them to be very interesting most of the time. But
yeah, same. This will be the first villainous show I'll watch, but that's because all the other ones I'm this is the same show over and over again.
Yeah.
The problem with villainous shows I have with this show is that the villainesses are never acting like villainesses.
Yeah.
Which
is
I guess
also true with this one, but yeah.
It's true with the show too, but I also feel this one kind of makes sense because he's not actually trying to be evil. He's just he considers that as more of a job. That's my job is to be a villainous. I'm going to try to be the best villainous, even though he fails spectacularly at that part. But I think it makes more sense than I'm the villainous, and then nothing I do is villain.
Yeah, and then they just become the main character of a show that is just a fantasy show. It's set in a high school or whatever. So, which is my other problem with the genre. But no, this is promising. I'm excited to check this out. The trailer really does look decently well produced, and I like comedy shows that can lean into the animation and be a little bit more active with it, and this looks like it's doing that. We spent a lot of time on this, so let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Which I think Tim is enjoying.
Yeah.
Amiku Takao no Surikate.
Or Amike MD, Doctor Detective.
I said Suri, and my phone thought I said Siri.
Siri, play House MD.
Yeah, that's the exact joke I was gonna do. God damn it!
We're the same person.
That's me and Ellie.
Anyways, this is a show about a doctor who treats patients at a hospital, but there is this like mystery and murders going on that she's like simultaneously trying to solve. So she's like, I guess we'll go back to the House MD joke, but she's an actual detective as well. Instead of solving medical mysteries, she's solving real mysteries. This is interesting. I think it's very weird. I think we've seen a lot of medical dramas outside of anime.
Yeah, I was gonna say not many med procedurals
and like
in
Grey
anime.
Anatomy and fucking all the K dramas are like half of them are like in hospitals.
Yeah,
but like I don't think I've ever seen a hospital setting in anime yet, which is kind of interesting.
I really
So
I
this might
can't
be
think
a
of one.
fresh take. It's also a novel, which is an interesting source. I'm a little worried that novels tend to be a little dialogue heavy. And
Yeah,
I don't think I didn't get that feeling from the PV, but I have a slight worry that it might be a little bogged down by like we sit in a room and discuss a mystery for like 10 minutes kind of thing.
yeah.
But that's just like unbased worries though, because the PV and everything looked pretty
It
good.
looks fine. Yeah, it's not the
animation and
best
all that was fine.
looking show of all time, but it's like fine.
Yeah, it's Project 9. They have never really done anything like spectacular.
My main concern for this one is just that the summaries are a little vague, and I'm not really understanding the murder mystery aspect part of how, like, are there murders happening at the hospital and she's just involved as a witness, or like is she doing autopsies? Like, because what is a doctor doing in a murder? I don't know. It's a little weird.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I assume watching the show will help figure that part out. But you know, it's novel enough that I'm probably at least going to check it out. You know,
I did the translation for that one, and I was very equally confused when doing that.
So I don't know, but I'm down for adult drama and I'm down for mystery if it can be done well. So TBD, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm in like full agreement because like you don't see medical dramas in anime, so like fuck it, why not give this a shot?
Yeah.
I want to see what.
Well,
what they can
we
show
did
us.
have a pretty prominent one, which we're getting a season 2 for this season, but that's not a modern medical drama. That is a historical
Oh,
fiction.
that's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
Oh, sure, I see what you're saying.
yeah. So
yeah.
anyway, I'm probably gonna watch episode 1 of this.
Yeah, this gets an episode 1 from me.
All right. Moving on, we got Bon Vampire.
Don
Vampire.
Dead vampires.
Saying the
lot of
name is
jokes
the
here.
most fun to be had in this.
No.
Yeah, so Akiyaku was something that was surprisingly charming despite its premise. I feel like this is kind of the opposite. There's nothing inherently wrong with the words vampire rom-com, but the devil is in the details. First of all, I'm not really sure if it thinks of itself as a real rom-com or not, but it can't ever actually work as one because the vampire guy is like the groom lord supreme. I'm not talking like, you know, he's 400 and the main character is 18. I'm talking like he's 400. Excuse me. And he met the main character when he was 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you can maybe think of it as a black comedy where the narrative is at least aware that this relationship is unhealthy, and I think there's some evidence in the manga to support that reading, but that leads us to the second devil in the details. The comedy is extremely uninspired. Like, it's the old, you know, supernatural creature tells the truth and everyone assumes he's joking gag, you know, some boner humor, some oh he's naked comedy. It's nothing. It's nothing. And the ROM can't work, and the COM doesn't work, so all that's left, really, is the chance to look at a vampire guy naked. And frankly, you could spend your whole life looking at drawings of sexy vampire guys and never see them all, so I don't see the need to attach yourself to these specific sexy vampire drawings. I can't recommend this.
Yeah, I don't think that just because it's age gap yaoi, like that doesn't necessarily make that the incredibly weird and predatory romance like more acceptable. This is clearly for a certain audience, which is the type of person that wants to watch weird age gap yaoi with a like, and I use the word sexy in air quotes because I really kind of don't like the main guy's design, the vampire's design, but like from the trailer, there is a
He
like
looks better in the manga. He looks more
just
like a
I don't
hot
the
anime
lipstick
guy in
is
there.
and the red lips is a weird look. But he's very well animated and there's like a scene of him dancing, so I can see why people might be into that, but like I think the rest of the show is kind of ugly and I think the premise sucks. And I mean, like, obviously I'm not into fetish yaoi, but this is weird fetish yaoi.
Have you considered getting into weird fetish, yaoi, Chris?
If it was better, this is clearly not.
What about weird fetish yuri?
That's hey, I will let the record show I have passed on weird fetish yuri in the past. Like I didn't watch Gushing Over Magical Girls last year.
Yeah, that's the first example that came to mind
Or
too.
like
Now that I think about it.
the Happy Sugar Life is the other example of just like ugh. I don't don't want that. Anyway,
Yeah.
any other thoughts?
No, this is a BL. Like
That's
I'm
a
not the
weird
target audience
trailer.
here. The blood of an 18-year-old virgin continues
Like the
to run
whole
with a
premise is that
15-year-old.
he doesn't want this 15-year-old to fall in love with a girl because he's lusting after him and he doesn't want him to lose his
He's lusting over
virginity.
the blood, which I guess makes it slightly better than being like, I'm into kids.
I mean,
but Tim,
yeah, but like,
Tim, vampirism
I
101. It's like
Yeah. I think if they lean more into the comedy and the romance, like way more into the comedy and the romance, the show would be fine. But like,
I'm
I
sure it
haven't
is too.
seen the jokes, but it seems like they lean towards it, and I hope that it'll be fine because of that. But obviously, Logan wasn't impressed. But
I
Logan has been known
have
to be
seen
wrong
the
in
jokes, and I
past.
can tell you that the jokes are not fine, like as jokes.
My bar for comedy has been reset after Shikanoko. I'm like, I'm much more stringent on comedy now.
that's crazy that you had to watch a really bad show to have that happen.
That's
Just can't let it
that's
happen
the most
normally.
good that Shikanoko has done
Yeah,
for
God
society.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think I was ever gonna watch this because I think that it's like just off-putting and weird. But you know, go for it if that's your thing, I guess. But I bet there's better sexy vampire. Like watch the babysitting one from like last year or whatever.
babysitting
Delico Nursery,
vampire?
is that what it was called?
Yeah, last season.
Yeah,
Or like this season
This
that's airing right now, I
season.
think. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, there's
Should
other
probably
stuff.
finish that.
All right, moving on. Who doing this?
I got it. This
Okay.
one. All right. Class no daikirai na joshi to kekkon suru koto ni nata. Or I'm getting married to a girl I hate in my class. Oh, but wow.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
Like, okay. I wasn't able to watch the trailer for this one. I'm just out reading the synopsis.
It is exactly what you think it is. Does that
It's
help?
like a trashy rom-com. It's a light novel. I can't really give you much of anything here. Like
So like
I can read you the synopsis here. Like
it's what it says. They are being forced to get married, but they don't like each other. I want to say that I know this isn't actually happening, but like, is this a trend or something? Is this happening? Are high schoolers getting married against their will a bunch in Japan these days? And is it always like in under wild circumstances? I don't get it. I mean, like, obviously you can make the like, haha, Shinzo Abe's ghost, like, make babies jokes all you want, but it's just like this premise has been fucking regurgitated multiple times already, and it never makes any sense. And this just seems annoying and stupid. That's all I have to say. It looks fine visually, but it just looks like a trashy rom-com. I don't know if Tim has more info or higher hopes or whatever, but no thanks.
No, this seems pretty bog standard.
Yeah, I just think it's weird. The high school marriage stuff is just weird. I don't think 16-year-olds should be getting married against their will.
I think you're reading into it too much. I think it's just the go-to,
Like a
go-to
fantasy,
escape of like trying to start the romantic,
Yeah, it's
drama,
a fan
comedy
fiction
thing.
premise. Yeah, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, like,
haha, there's only one bed. Haha, what if we got married against our will? Whoa.
But like the studio and stuff are all very
Yeah, I don't think
mediocre.
Okumi has done very much the good stuff, but
The last romance they did was like incredibly boring. So at the very least, I hope it's gonna be better than that.
at least it looks lively. I will get the visuals are okay. I will give it that.
The last thing they did was the dreaming boys are realistic, and that literally puts people to sleep. So
Yeah,
can't be worse than this.
true. All right. We have another romance up next.
Oh, we sure do. It's Dose Koshite Shimaunda.
Or anyway, I'm falling in love with you.
It's kind of amusing that girl harems tend to replace bad comedy with bad melodrama. Anyway, harems are ultimately character shows, and the first chapter didn't really bother to introduce me to any of them. Like, she's reverse harem girl type B, the demure and kind one, and he's the quiet one? The really, really forward one? Like, he doesn't seem like he has much
He's
in the way of
also-
emotions at all.
Not
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt your spiel, he's also the longtime childhood friend one, which is a trope
No.
too.
Yes, yeah, but
friends,
that's
aren't
a backstory, not a personality.
Yeah, but I think
they are all
he's-
childhood
I think he's
friends.
the longest term.
I think they are childhood, but he was like the baby of the group.
Yeah, sure.
Like he was the crybaby that everyone was like, oh, you have to like take care of.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Logan can keep.
But of course, he doesn't do any actual crying in that chapter, and he doesn't really show much in the way of emotions at all, right up until he kisses her at the very end. And like, good for him, I guess, but I've got no sense of the way in which these two are actually friends, and that's the thing that matters. Not all of this, like, there's this whole, like, plot thing about her getting shot down by, like, an unrelated fifth guy, and he's like, oh, I have to, like, shoot her down because I know that he wants to, or whatever, and it doesn't seem like it matters much to the broader narrative, and it just kind of, it takes away time from showing important stuff like who these people are and why they like each other, and it makes the kiss less impactful when I don't know who it's happening to, so I can't recommend this at all.
Anyone else before I go?
I got nothing on this show.
This Tim.
Yeah, but I can go after you.
I don't trust this show to have the level of intrigue and writing that it would need to get me to watch this for me to watch this. Basically, like, I could see a premise like this being good if the execution was excellent, and I don't expect it to be based on the trailer and what Logan has said. So it's not like I'm against watching a romance like this, but it just looks incredibly paint by numbers. All the boys are kind of samey, and they just look like harem different boy designs, and I can kind of tell what their personalities are going to be like, and I don't care. So that's where I'm at.
I used to, on Twitter, I used to follow an artist who would, among other things, draw boys from this Otome game she liked, and all of these boys look like all of the boys she used to
I wonder why that is. Playing the hits. That's all I got.
Logan's kind of right about this and a little off on some things. I think I agree that the characters aren't really fleshed out at all. The first episode of this was literally her chasing after this like no-name senpai guy who's probably not going to be important at all, and she gets shot down, and then the crybaby was like, I'm in love with you. When you gonna start seeing me as a man instead of a guy? And that's basically the whole first episode builds up to be. It's very like, look, do you want to talk about how they did the first kiss and how ridiculous it was?
Yeah, when she was, well, I don't remember exactly, like, she was on the stairs, and I just remember him just, like, walking up and firing it off.
Oh, because it was just a confession. I don't think they actually kissed on the stairs.
Oh, maybe they changed things in the anime.
So
then.
it's so like tropey and over the top. It's kind of, it's really aiming for the female shoujo baits. But like, what happens is like, she meets him at like, the guy's a swimmer and the senpai's a swimmer. So he meets him. He's like half naked, and he's like, oh, why won't you ever see me as a guy? And he literally like copied onto against the wall in the swim locker. He like hits the shower. It starts raining on top of them, and they have this like really dramatic close-up thing where he like goes up and kisses her, and it was like the most ridiculous shoujo thing I've ever seen. I actually
That
laughed a
is
bit.
not how it goes in the manga. That's crazy.
They do have a scene after her birthday where he's like, "Oh, my wish is to like fall in love with you," and that's when he was like confessing or be your boyfriend or something. But then like afterwards, they're like, "Oh, I don't really see you that way," and he's like, "Oh, when you see him as a guy," and he's like half naked, covered on showers, so crazy. The girls loved it in the premiere, so I'm sure the show's gonna do just fine for that kind of audience. But like,
Yeah, like I said, they're playing the hits. And
they're
there's
playing the
nothing,
hits.
there's
The-
nothing
the
wrong with
lean
making a
towards
show like
the-
this, but like I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I need
It's-
something a little bit more than just pure silly titillation, which is what is seeming like this. Not titillation's not the right word, but you know what I mean. Like it's
there's
a
like
little saucy.
It's a little
like
saucy.
emotional
if you
titillation.
if you took a shot every time you saw a half naked guy in the first episode, you would be taking like 4 shots, which is like not that many shots, but it's still a lot for one episode.
No, it's enough.
One episode. It's like the first like 10 seconds, they're like half naked, sleeping on the floor together. It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
They really lean towards the fan service. But yeah, I think we only learned about the main dude who's like going after her. The other 3 childhood friends are kind of like, who are you? What are you doing here? And then the senpai is so like, senpai like feels like it's just there just to like egg the main guy on.
Yeah.
So it seems pretty superficial, but I think it's doing what the girls want, so it's fine.
Yeah. This one's for the girls and whoever else it wants to be for. All right, let's move on to something very different. Probably one of the bigger ones of the season. Tim, you have yourself entering
What do
this.
you want? Fate Strange Fake. I feel like I've talked about this show before.
We have talked about this a little bit. There was a movie earlier this year, and I think that I don't know if this is a cut of the movie or if it's different. I don't actually know the full context.
The movie is like a prequel setup tease to the TV show, but it is technically considered a prequel.
Okay, maybe we should watch that. But
I told you guys you should have watched it like when it came out.
yeah, I
Actually,
wasn't
no, I said
really
you
sure.
shouldn't. No, I remember. I told you you shouldn't because you probably should watch some Fate before you watch this.
Ah,
Like some of the original Fate, because it does kind of like, it doesn't like walk you through the
I've
normal,
absorbed
like,
Fate through osmosis just enough to where I think I can keep up with this. And if I can't, then maybe Logan and I will go and finish Fate Zero. I don't know.
I don't know
Fate
about that.
DDW. Finish something, please. And then finish a fucking Monogatari series while you're at it too.
That's a lot of shows to watch.
Monogatari's only like 30 episodes, 20 episodes.
All
something like
right,
that.
so Fate's Strange Fake though.
This is Fate Train Fake. It is another Fate war, but this time it's in the good old USA gun-loving planet. And they do
Planet.
show it. Planet. Yes, the USA is its own planet. Deal with it. I haven't seen much of the PV in this one, but at least in the movie, they were like gun-wielding maniacs over there, which I guess is how they see us. If anything from the movie is to like hint at the quality of this one, it's going to be very good, very fun. I was a little afraid about A1 doing it and not D4 tables instead, usually the one that's been doing the Fate stuff recently, but like A1 can bring that game when they want. So basically, it's Fate, you know, if you want or not, and the quality and everything seems to be up to par, above great. So yeah, Fate people should watch it, and people who hate Fate are gonna skip this. That's basically it.
I mean, like, as someone who's not like, I haven't seen any Fate like whatsoever. I don't know if I should like get into this or not, because like I know this will. If I do watch this, I feel like this would be like my gateway into Fate, and then I'll start playing Fate Grand Order, and then that's a spiral that I'm not ready to go down.
I mean,
You can
I've
just
never
not
gone to
play Fate
Geo.
Grand Order.
Yeah, I've seen all the Fate. I've not gone to Fate Geo.
You can stop yourself. You don't have to play Fate.
Yeah, it's called
Also, I think
self-control.
this one is. I think this one is different enough from the sort of vibe based on what I've heard from the rest of.
I mean, like,
Fate
it's
that I don't
also
think
like written by the Bakano guy,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Isn't
it's
it?
Ryo
written by the
Narita,
Bakano guy.
who famously wrote Bakano Durara, and other such media. So it is going to be a little different than your typical Nasu Fate shit. So like, I don't know. I think I'll be honest. Like I said, I haven't really watched that much Fate. I've seen a couple bits here and there. but I'm a huge Narita fan. I love Bakano and Durarara, so I'm excited to see his very unique like ensemble cast flair to it.
Well,
And
didn't we watch that one show and we're like, eh?
yeah, but that was kind of a mediocre adaptation.
show?
Dead Mount Death Play.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
But and honestly,
I
other
wanted to
people
keep
are
going
like,
with Dead Mount
yeah,
Death Play. To be
yeah,
honest,
it wasn't
but
bad.
I
But
didn't really enjoy
this
that first
production
episode.
just looks really good. Like it just looks
Yeah,
like one of
I
the
mean,
best
it's-
shows of the season.
Is it Ufotable or who is it?
It's A1.
It's A1.
A1.
Oh, it's A1.
Yeah, but
A1,
it's like
okay.
their A team, and it's clearly like they know it's a Fate product, so it's gonna look good. I think is kind of where we're at. So I am excited for this one. I'm actually quite excited for this one, even though we're going in a little blind. I think it will at least like it looks like it's got some sauce from the trailer. Is all
I
I'm
guess
saying.
you could start with the TV special movie thing and see how you're feeling about. Are you following along enough? Because there's some like politics, terminology, magic thing that they like glance over.
Yeah, they're
because
talking
they
about the
assume
Grail
you guys
War and
all-
stuff. Yeah.
They'll talk about the clock tower and the major association, and I don't think
I
you guys
know.
know anything about that.
We'll just
wait.
ask a
I
Fate
I was gonna
friend.
say, I'll get Ethan in the call and then ask questions every once in a while.
I feel like you should probably just watch actual.
Maybe. I mean, that's obviously.
I've got news for you about what we are going to do.
I'll give this a watch. If the others are down, then I'll watch it.
I was definitely
Because
gonna
at the
watch
very
it.
least, you could watch, I guess, the prequel movie thing,
right. Yeah.
and see how you guys feel about that.
The
Yeah.
prologue.
Episode 1 did come out a few weeks ago, but I think it
Yeah,
was dub
that's what
only.
it says on Mal that it came out on November 23rd on YouTube.
Yeah, but it was dubbed, so I was like, I don't want to watch it.
Yeah,
dubbed.
we'll just wait. I'm super excited for this one. All right. Next up, is Guild no Uketsu Kujo desu ga Zangyo wa iya nanode boss wo solo tobatsu shio to omoimasu. Or I may be a guild receptionist, but I'll solo any boss to clock out on time.
This is all you, bud. I
Okay.
got nothing on
We
this.
moved this one out of the Isekai slot for a couple of reasons. I do not necessarily expect this show to be spectacular, but it is being made by Cloverworks. It has got a pretty high production value, so I am going to at least give it the time of day. Also, and this is a key thing, I know Logan was like, premise doesn't matter, and he's right, like execution matters more than premise, but with these Isekai shows, I think premise does matter a little bit because like, holy shit, people do not try at all when it comes to making isekai stories. They just recycle the same shit over and over again. And I will give this credit. This is a good premise. The idea is that she joined a guild to be a receptionist because she wanted an easy job, but her adventurers keep getting stuck on hard bosses and it's making her work a bunch of overtime because they're not coming back on time. And she's getting so fed up with it that she decides to become an adventurer in secret and go beat the bosses and help them out so that she can actually clock out and stop being overworked. And I think that is a silly and fun enough premise for a show like this. Like, I will give credit where credit is due. I think otherwise this is probably going to be a fairly generic like action fantasy show and a sort of waifu type show with just a vehicle for Takahashi Rie to, do voice work because she's playing the main character. And this is an extremely Takahashi Rie role. It's like probably tailor made for her. So, I mean, if you're into that, that's great. But it looks good. The animation's good. It's Cloverworks. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to watch this unless I hear it's like fire, but that's kind of where I'm at with this. I'm sure Tim's going to
Chris,
watch it.
if you want to watch episode 1, I'll watch episode 1 with you. Why not?
Maybe. It's still an isekai, or well, not technically, but it's, fantasy isekai slop category.
I thought it looked a little. I don't think it looked as good as Chris said it looked. Like
The bar is very low. I want to
the
point out.
dragons and stuff kind of like stood out like a sore thumb. That being said, it is probably Cloverworks' worst anime they've made production wise, but it's also like the worst of Cloverworks is still probably better than like most other studios. So like I think it's still fine and will be fun to watch. Yeah, the premise seems really fun. It's from the premise of like, oh, this is the fantasy, but like all the adventures are useless, so you gotta take hands in her own hand and nail it. It seems like a fun time. I don't think anything super gonna be super like revolutionary or amazing about this one, but it just seems like a fun premise, and we'll have a good time watching it.
We'll see how the execution turns out. I think it could just kind of be like,
All right. Next up, we got Hana wa Saku Shura no Gotoku or Flower and Asura. Logan, what you got for us, baby?
Sometimes all you need is a spark of promise, like I said before. The core character dynamic here isn't really anything special. It's, you know, the Genki girl teaches the lonely girl to advocate herself. We've seen that before. But it distinguishes itself with some cool visual flourishes. This is a manga about poetry recitation, and both of the poems in the first chapter, especially the second one, come with some really striking visuals. I'm really glad that this is going to a competent studio like Bind. But honestly, I'd like to see them go like maybe full Bochi with some of these poetry scenes. Like I'm talking like real crazy out there animation. Like give me something like balls out creative with the visuals. And I think that would help it to really set it apart because the visuals were what were those kind of metaphorical representations of what they're saying in the poem with the visuals were the most interesting part of the manga. And for all that the premise is like a little played out, it's hardly like a rotten foundation to build a story on, you know? I think that this is likely to be good, and I think it has a chance of being something very special, and I hope that it takes that chance.
yeah, this was on my radar before the season, so I'm looking forward to it.
I forgot that this was the Studio Bind show. This explains a lot because like even like just from the premise alone, I'm like, wow, this sounds really good because like it's like a radio show kind of thing. Like
Yeah, it's about a school's broadcasting club in a small town. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like I don't know what it is about like radio shows, but like they've been like good recently. So I'm like, this is gonna be good.
Did you watch the last radio show?
I mean, not the Yuri one. I didn't watch that one. I mean, I watched the first 3 episodes. And I'm like, eh. But like, when I say radio shows, I mean like
Wave, listen to you. I mean,
Wave, and in a way, Odd Taxi, kind of sort of.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking
It's
about.
not the main. It's not the main thing. But
there
like,
are two
you know,
comedians that are on the radio a little bit in that show, and that's about all I'm gonna give you. But Wave is good, sure. Anyway,
yeah.
So Wave is the only. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, this show has been on my radar even before it got officially like announced. I was like teasing this to the rest of the gang, but it was coming. This is of course we said it was Studio Bind, which has done like amazing things like
Notably
Mushoku and they did
Mamashoko.
Onimai as well. Onimai is also equally good, but it is also from the author of Hibike Euphonium,
right.
which is
Yeah, I forgot
what I
it was
think
this
we're all
one.
a fan of here. So like immediately those two combined is like I gotta watch this, you know.
Yeah, that's a great writer and a like a really competent studio doing that together, which is like pretty much a dream team for me. So
I
I
can't go wrong with this one. Yeah.
Mhm.
I would have liked to have the actual director from Mushoku work on this one. I think he's working on the Rock one, the Ruri one. Then we have this like kind of relatively brand new director. This is my only main concern, but like it's fine. I'm sure they're gonna like knock it out of the park.
at least visually, yeah.
They already have some really interesting visuals in the PV.
Yeah, the
that
trailer
I
looked
watched.
excellent. I was really impressed. I will say that the character designs feel, and this is more of a fault with the manga, I assume, and not the character designs feel a little on the generic side, and they all, I don't know if y'all felt like this, they all feel a lot like characters I've seen in other anime. Like I kept having weird deja vu watching the trailer. Like, isn't that one character from Inter XYZ generic slice of life show that I don't remember very well? But that's my only complaint, really.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I think this one has potential, at least, to be really good.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be like a highlight of the season.
All right. Next up is Honey Lemon Soda.
More like sugar honey iced tea. What were they thinking?
Thank you, Logan.
You're welcome. I I wish I had a more precise criticism for this than it's horribly melodramatic, but it does feel horribly melodramatic. Like, it's a lot of stock caricatures saying their big feelings very explicitly through some, frankly, terrible art. Like, I was kind of prepared to defend it because that was just kind of how manga looked in 2005, but then it turns out it was from 2015, which is way too late to look this specific kind of ugly. Um, Even the Mal reviews defending it call it trashy and typical, which suggests that maybe even the target audience won't have a whole lot of patience for this either. I can't recommend it.
This doesn't look very good from the trailer. I'm gonna be real with you.
This is one of the shows where like I only read the premise and I'm like, you know what? This sounds pretty all right. But hearing y'all's opinions about it, I'm like, oh,
It's
am I
kind of
wrong
just
here?
another reverse harem. Like it feels really similar to Dose, and it feels kind of wild that we're both getting them in the same season.
Yeah, I mean, like to me, like from what I can tell, like from the key art and like from the synopsis, it was kind of giving me Skip to Loafer vibes. And I'm like, oh,
Skip to Loafer was mid.
yeah.
More like Hananoi-kun vibes, but I don't think I was watching any of that.
No.
Okay.
I don't think the guy is like red flag as like Hanano, but I think it's like the girl kind of like doesn't know what love is, and she kind of like just got the main character swoops in and kind of helps her out, and now she's like falling in love with him, and he's like aware of it, but he's kind of just like letting it go. I don't know.
I gotcha. Okay.
It feels like there's more meat. It looks like there's more meat to this one than the.
Did you watch the premiere at
one?
Frontier? I thought about going to this one, but then ended up doing something else.
No, we were late to this one. I literally had to jump out of the car and Logan.
Too bad.
To make like.
I saved
part
you
of it.
from this one, is what you mean.
I actually think I would watch this one over the the other one we were talking about. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch enough to say anything, but it looked like from the like small snippet I saw that it had a little bit more meat and more things going on and more competent writing. But I don't know. That's just off of like 2 minutes of footage though, so we'll see.
All right. Next up is Kisaki Kyoiku kara nigetai watashi, or I want to escape from princess lessons, which that title sounds better than what this show is actually about. Basically, the princess has been betrothed to the prince since they were little kids. She's a very like spirited and rambunctious child, and she's had a very strict upbringing to become like this prim and proper princess. And she does not really like her betrothed new husband for whatever reason. I'm sure it'll be explored more in the show. And then one day there's a ball and he shows up with another woman and she's like, yippee, I'm free. I don't have to marry that bitch. And then she runs away, but then I think he chases after her and like catches her and he's like, haha, where are you going? Actually, I still love you. And so then it's just a rom-com about how she's the tsundere. I could believe that maybe there would be some premise to this show, but it is ugly. I think all of the character designs are really bad. I wouldn't want to marry this prince. He doesn't look very hot. It's really flat in a way that's like incredibly unappealing to me. Like they just really like all the characters are color coded and they just have that one highlight color and that's kind of it. Like the prince is very yellow and she's very red, and it's just really flat and unpleasant to look at, and it doesn't seem particularly engaging narratively either. So no thanks.
Yeah, this just looks like a very generic like rom-com about princesses and princes.
It's another very shoujo-y, like, tsundere romance. Like, I don't want to marry him, which is kind of what the marriage show was for earlier too. So there's not a lot of variety in the romances. You got 2 reverse harems and 2 like I don't want to marry him type shows. So I don't know. Maybe these 2 aren't as comparable, but I don't know. Tim, do you have any thoughts on this one? Because I know Logan doesn't.
You better believe I don't.
Man, well, it's EMT Squid, who like has never really done anything good, so this is kind of what I expected from them. Well, I mean, they did Chumatsu, but I think Chumatsu was kind of an exception. But like everything on the track was just going to be pretty mediocre adaptation, and this one seems like it's even worse than the usual stuff. So I don't think there's going to be interesting coming from this one. Yeah, kind of disappointing that this one got such a poor treatment. But
moving on, let's talk about. Oh, Logan, I can't wait to hear about this one.
Yeah, Kono Kaisha Nisuki na Hito ga Imasu.
Can you keep a secret?
That's way easier to say.
Yeah.
So every season there is a comedy that just fails to make me laugh, and
Oh
this
boy, it's this
season
one.
it's Kono Kaisha. Oh yeah, it's this one. The jokes are the exact jokes you would expect to be in a they're trying to hide their office romance comedy, and the characters don't even really ascend to the lofty heights of like he's the serious one and she's the fun-loving one. I can't really even like give descriptors of these guys. Like she's the cute one and he's the man. I don't know. This fails as comedy. It fails as romance. I can't recommend this at all. This was terrible.
I will admit, when I was reading the Mal chart and saw this one for the first time a couple of weeks ago, I was like, wow, they are at an office, they are dating, and it's a secret. That's it. I was like, wow, bold, aren't we, with our anime premises? Yeah, this is incredibly flimsy. I'm sure this has the potential to maybe be kind of cute. I don't know. I think they might actually be having sex. That's huge. Anime doesn't do that very often. But also, and this is important, they could not be, and the ad trailer just tricked me into thinking they were, which is worse. I have no feelings about this. I am certainly not going to watch it. It looks kind of pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, like it's. I feel like it's been a while since we saw like a workplace romance, like in an anime, probably like a couple of seasons.
There has been like
No?
one every season
Never
for
mind.
the past
Never
like
mind.
year. Yeah,
You're right.
Which
Never
is
mind.
that
I just
one.
remembered the
There's the one where they were moving
moving
to Siberia. Yeah,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one.
yeah.
Okay, never mind.
this one
Yeah.
actually. Okay, go on.
Like all I was gonna say is that like this does look like it's focusing on like the quote unquote comedy more than the romance. So like it has to be like really good comedy, and from what I can tell, it's not. So I don't have high hopes for this one.
I was going to say the opposite. I thought this show looked way more about the romance than the comedy.
Yeah, it definitely feels like,
Like,
it's more about
really?
the romance
they
than the
actually
comedy, which is
kiss, they go on dates. It looks like they have sex or go on the Chris and the PV. Compared to like I don't know, we compared to like Hortokoi where they like didn't do anything romantic at all the entire runtime.
yeah, but that one was actually
Or you-
funny.
Or you go with the I don't know, but just in romance.
Yeah,
like
sure.
there's no romance. The typical green hair.
Yeah, but that one,
senpai
no one
thing.
was actually that was all about like the
Well, the side couple
will they,
was.
won't they? But yeah,
The second couple was more together, and they also had like very little romance. So this one actually seems way more into the romance than
Mm-hmm.
all the other office workplace. So I'm like, props for you for actually like going that route.
I mean, but that's all there is. You know what I mean?
But like, yeah, and so it just comes down to like how well they do the romance, because I don't see this show trumping those other shows in terms of
Nah,
like comedy. So
Not at all.
I think this show is going to live or die based on how well how I guess cute the
Yeah, and like Logan
romance
said,
is.
in order to get
And-
invested in the romance, like the characters have to be compelling, and it doesn't sound like they are. But you know, who knows?
I'm also anything romance related. I'm just like not trusting Logan on.
I
'cause
think
it's
I trust Logan enough
So-
to
You say that,
like,
and I'm
get
right
reads
every
on-
time.
to get reads on like character writing. I think he's literate.
I mean,
I-
it's also
I-
the first
I-
chapter. Like it may take
I
a
am
little bit more for
capable-
the romance to go on.
I am-
I agree that
I
there'll be
am
more.
yes, but these aren't characters at all in the first chapter. I know nothing about.
I will
them.
say I know you have a very strong first chapter feel, and I tend to agree that most of the time it will give a good snapshot. I think for developing romances specifically, especially when they are together at the beginning, you really do need a little bit more to see what the dynamic is like. Now, this is not. I am not playing cover for this show. I don't expect it to improve, but I think giving it a little bit more time is probably what you would need to do if it was better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say this show is gonna be the one that's gonna prove Logan wrong, but I'm gonna say like for example the Office one from last season,
Yeah.
the Siberia one, it you definitely need a lot more than
Well,
the
Logan
first
actually
chapter
didn't
to get
hate
a
that
good
one.
idea for
I
that
was
one.
kind of
Yeah,
polite
I
to
was gonna
that one.
say.
Like that's the thing about me in romance is that like everything is minus like 100 for me, but the scale is still the same.
Yeah.
I can tell what a better romance is from a terrible romance, even if I
I-
don't like any of them.
I don't know. You were mid
I
on
think
Skip
the
to
main couple
Loafer,
romance
but-
was pretty horrible in that show, but like you get into the side couples, the side characters romances, and that's the much more compelling part about that show.
What is it about shows like that? And then they just the main couple is kind of like whatever, but the side couple, I feel like that's really common.
There's no, I mean, there actually isn't those. I'll get to it in the post, but like it's not actually like side couples in
Okay.
that one.
Sure.
It's a little more complicated. I'll get into it later.
Yeah. TBD. Anyway, we'll see. I'd like to hear Tim's opinion about this one in the mid, but I don't think I'm going to watch this.
Assuming we,
I don't
don't-
expect any of you guys to watch this.
No, absolutely
Yeah,
not.
that's fine.
All right, Logan, we got another romance back to back.
Alright, so this is Kuroiwa Metaka ni Watashi no Kawaii ga Sujinai. And frankly, this isn't even the best rom-com about a celibate monk that I've ever read. So basically, she spends like 20 pages sexually harassing him because he's not outwardly into her, and then she falls for him legitimately at the end because he like catches her when she slips, and they have that like stock, like, oh, I'm in his arms and now I'm in love with him for some reason moment, and I don't know, I guess. She does have boobs. That comes up a few times during the sexual harassment, and good for her, but I can't really recommend this.
I think that if bro is trying to be a monk, why is he in Japanese high school? Why isn't he a fucking
That is also
monastery?
weird. That is
Why isn't
also
he making
weird.
mead or honey or playing pranks on other monks? Like, what
I
are we?
think he's going to school to like learn about resistant temptation or something. I don't remember what the stupid reasoning was, but like that's some reason. He used to live out in the middle of nowhere, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm going to Tokyo
Right.
to like
This-
train as a monk."
This feels like one of those premises that the mangaka came up with to justify the premise more so than anything that makes any actual sense. Like, what can I make my rom-com premise about? What if she was trying to seduce a guy, but he was a monk, kind of, but not really? Like, what are we doing here, guys? This is just the classic. It's the one guy that isn't into her, and everyone's into her, so she falls in love with him. It's a classic premise, and it's when done well, can be really compelling. I think Apothecary Diaries is doing a really good job of it right now. You could just watch that show instead. You should watch that show instead.
I feel like you could say that about nearly every anime we're talking about here.
Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, I don't have a lot to say about this. Like, this just looks like a romance show, but like very like
This
moe.
one has like a little bit more in the realm of like stuff going for it and production values. I feel like people are gonna tell me that this one's popular in a month, but I don't know.
I could see it appealing to the mainstream in this one. She's like, it's
just a waifu show. It's just the same as every other mid waifu show.
The show's like half amusing / fun and half like cringe. Cause like in her attempt to like quote unquote seduce the main guy, she does like every single like rom-com trope that you see in like rom-com animes, but like she does it intentionally. So she'll be like, "Oh, I'm on the stool chair thing, and you can see my panties. I'm gonna accidentally fall and flash you or something like that." She does it like intentionally. And it's like she'll do like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this like cat thing you see in the PV to like because I know he likes cats," and it's like it goes in. Some of it's kind of cringe, some of it's kind of amusing. They kind of take that up to 11 sometimes, where they're like, "Oh, I'm on a trip and accidentally strip my entire shirt off and show you my bra," and it goes way escalation to like how much the tropes are leaning into to try like quote unquote seduce them. And I think that's probably where the root fun of the show is going to be for most people. And like eventually, slowly, she's probably going to like fall in love with him, and maybe he will like give up on his monk's way and go out with her in the end. Who knows? We'll see.
Because why would a high school boy want to be a fucking monk? I don't know. Anyway, it's okay.
Maybe his family were monks.
Maybe he really loves I think he should at least look like a monk and have the bald spot, and I think him not doing that is a lack of commitment to the bit. All right,
Agreed.
Yes, being a monk a bit.
that's what it is. Anyway, next up,
People train as a monk for like 3 months and
Joining
they
a
quit, right?
monastery
Yeah, they
for the
probably do.
vine.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Medalist. So the main thing I like about this is the art, which tragically isn't going to carry over to the anime adaptation. Because you can see where the artist cuts corners, but you can also absolutely see why they cut those corners. Because the figure skating scenes are incredible, as are a lot of the like facial expressions in the more serious, dramatic moments. I love the way the artist like draws hair and the outlining, and I'm gonna stop talking about this because this is an anime podcast. In the adaptation, what we're left with is the story and the characters who are good. They're known archetypes in the sports world. He's the grizzled burnout veteran coach, 2 years younger than me, trying not to think about that. And she's the inspired but troubled young gun. I've got dollars to donuts that he's going to bring out the best in her, and she's going to reignite his suppressed passion for figure skating, and they're probably going to go to nationals or something. But the characters themselves have solid motivations, and there's this like undercurrent about the pressures of age that's kind of resonating with me now that I have recently turned old. The only thing that's holding me back on recommending this is that it feels like the anime is just going to be the worst way to experience this, like worse than usual anyway. So watch this if you don't read manga, but maybe just read the manga anyway. You know, there's a first time for everything. But maybe that's not true. Maybe the trailer actually looks good. How do you guys feel?
it looks okay. Sorry, I don't want to get you. It's CGI for the more intense dance scenes. It's not bad CGI, but it's not like girls band cry or anything like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I will have to see it actually like in played out in full in the show to see how bad it or good it could possibly be. But I don't think it's as good as you want it to be, but it's not as bad as it could have been, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was afraid of because now I don't know how to recommend it at all.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely I think it's on the better side of what it could have been, if that helps. But also I don't know yet. We'll see.
I still want to give this episode like an like I want to give this show like an episode because like the premise is pretty interesting. Like I think like this could go places with the show because like it's like
I've heard this manga's great, so I'm
Yes.
down to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm
I
willing.
have a
I'm
lot
willing
of
to
good things for
continue
this
giving it
manga.
a shot. Yeah.
Even before the anime got announced, I think this is probably the best it could have looked considering what we were given as far as the staff and studio was.
Yeah.
I'm actually generally a little impressed at how well they're putting it off, and hopefully they don't fumble the bag with this. But I think this is going to be a perfectly fine adaptation from the looks of it, and I look forward to seeing what other hype was with the manga.
I don't know. It just sometimes that's not enough to like pull it off, but we'll see, you know? TBD. Hey, if you're like a Yuri on Ice fan and you cared about the figure skating in that show, so I don't know, maybe 15%.
I
of
don't
the
know
target
how many
audience,
people. Yeah, what to say? Like I don't think
Then
a
you
lot of
finally
people
got another
watch
one.
Yuri on Ice for the figure skating.
There's a couple. I know there's some people that are like really into figure skating that got into Yuri on Ice that weren't anime fans but got into Yuri on Ice because it was super viral. I don't know. Anyway,
The only people that I know that are into figure skating are the ones that like watch the Winter Olympics.
yeah.
Like
The
that's about
figure
it.
skating is one of the few things I watch in the Winter Olympics. So, all right. We are going to now take a break and go into our Isekai Slop corner. We're going to just kind of blitz through these really fast. These are the Isekai or Isekai fantasy adjacent shows that we consider to be bad enough based on the description and the trailer that they do not merit much discussion at all.
I want us to blitz through this
We
so
are going
fast.
to go through them really quick. So first up is A rank party wo ridatsu shita ore wa moto oshige o tachi to meikyu shinbu wo mezatsu, or I left my A rank party to help my former students reach the dungeon depths.
Cool.
No comment. You want to get the next one
Right.
on? Yeah.
I'll do the next one. Yeah. Around 40, Otoko no Isekai Suhan, or the daily life of a middle-aged online shopper in another world. Oh boy, it's another Amazon.
This one made me mad.
Isekai.
This one I got upset reading the premise and then even more upset watching the trailer. It was bad.
All right. Next up.
Does Tim want to take one?
He has Formagia landed, but like.
Okay.
You read this one.
Botsuraku yote no kizoku dakedo hima datta kara maho wo kiwamete mita, or I'm a noble on the brink of ruin, so I might as well try mastering magic. I don't remember this one at all.
I got nothing on that one.
I
so.
just literally forgot this.
Next one, Formasia. Tim has something to say about this one.
This is from Asia. I don't think this really belongs here. It is a game adaptation by the creator of Fairy Tail, and it's very obvious because
it is by the same creator. Okay.
Yes, it's the Fairy Tail guy helped make it, and you can tell because every single character looks like another Fairy Tail character.
I mean, it's also by the same studio.
Yes, by the same studio. I wouldn't necessarily toss this into like the trash power fantasy isekai. It's probably going to be like,
I mean, it's fairy tale
generic fantasy, like Fairy Tail, so it's still probably not going to be that amazing. But yeah, probably shouldn't be. But it's probably also going to be great. So it's whatever.
Yeah, if you're really into Fairy Tail, I guess.
All right. Next one. Fugushoku Kanteshi ga Jitsu wa Saikyo Data, or even given the worthless appraiser class, I'm actually the strongest. I got nothing.
Wow, he's actually the strongest, guys.
Guys, his power, was bad, but actually it was good? What? Okay.
Nice voice crack.
Hazare skill Kinomi master skill no mi tabitai shinu o mugen ni taberu yo ninata ken ni tsuite. Bogus skill fruit master. About that time I became able to eat unlimited numbers of skill fruits that kill you. In the
That's
English,
parentheses that kill you.
the English translation on Mal calls his ability the Nut Master, and that's the funniest thing about this show by far.
They're nuts in the manga, and I'm so mad that they've officially changed it to Fruit Master, apparently, because Nut Master was the best thing about it.
All right, next one.
Izuru Saikyo no Renkin Jutsushi, or someday will I be the greatest alchemist.
I think this is literally the most unoriginal anime I have ever heard of in my life. I will not comment further. Magic Maker Isekai Maho no Tsuru or Sukuri Kata Magic Maker. How to make magic in another world. They copied what's it called? Homework. Mushoku Tensei. It looks exactly like Mushoku Tensei, but much worse.
Cool. All right. Mahotsukai no Yakusoku, or Promise of a Wizard. Tim had something to say about this one.
This one's anime definitely not for us. It's based off of, I think, like a mobile game or something, and
yeah, it's a game
lot
adaptation.
of girls were into this. So
It definitely looks like a pretty boy show.
It's a pretty boy fantasy show. I would not toss it in the power fantasy Isekai Slop, but I know a lot of people are looking for this one though, but it's fine.
I think the name Promise of Wizard is really funny.
There's like
All right,
50
Logan,
guys.
tell us about the last two.
3.
All right. Yeah, there's 3, but I'll just read the name of the middle one. So we got S-rank monster no behemoth takedo neko to machi ga warete elf musume no pet toshite kurushite mas, or Bihenko. The elf girl's Biheneko. Okay, thank you. The elf girl's cat is secretly an S-ranked monster. Oh, huh. Like, this girl has boobs too. That's a small world. We should tell her about the other girl with the boobs. Maybe they know each other.
What was the other show that you talked about the boobs?
That was the rom-com with the monk.
Oh, that one. Sure.
Oh, sure.
There's actually a lot of boobs among these isekai shows if you look hard enough.
Mm-hmm. So the next one. So the next one, I actually did Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So say Juan, if we would gonna do an Ecchi Bro shows this season, I think it would be S Rank Monster.
Really?
I was talking to the Sentai staff at Frontier about this anime, and they say this is like on the same level as Inuyai's dog, if not worse.
No.
It is that.
He
It
does-
is that level
he is a
of
That
little
is
kitty cat
one
that
way.
rides around her
Um,
fat naturals, so I'm not that surprised hearing that.
Oh
I just can't imagine how she could possibly fuck the cat. It's so small.
Such a tiny cat. He's so
I
tiny.
don't-
He's so cute.
I watched episode 1 for this one. Episode 1 was extremely tame, but they promised me it gets a lot worse.
Great.
Okay. I'll give it a shot, I guess. I hate that this is the one that brings back Itchy Bros.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't
You
have
don't
to
have
be.
to do this to
If it's
yourself.
anything like Innocent's dog, I think it has to be. I think I'm
Yeah,
gonna give it.
God, that show made me scream.
All right, next we have Salaryman ga Isekai ni Itara Shiteno ni Nata Hanashi, or Headhunted to Another World, from Salaryman to Big Four. I read this, it was terrible. I have no further opinions on it.
Yeah.
And finally, the last in our Isekai slop bucket. Sentai Red Isekai de Bokensha ni Naru. The Red Ranger becomes an adventurer in another world. Okay, so hear me out. Wouldn't it be a better narrative if the Red Ranger's powers relied on the bonds he'd forged between others? So that when he was sent to another world he has no connection to, he becomes a lot weaker. And he has to try and adapt to a new society and culture and forge bonds like those again, you know?
But that's not what happens,
No,
right?
you don't. No, you don't want to do that? Oh, okay. Well, then there's really nothing to recommend here. Oh, what's that? Sorry, say that again. Main character girl has boobs?
Oh my god.
Oh man, I didn't even notice. That changes everything. This is going to be anime of the year.
I think that this could have been a cool premise, and it is being squandered by incredibly lazy writing. I just don't think they're
Yeah,
doing anything
yeah,
interesting.
agreed.
there.
Who needs a Sentai show when you got Sentai Dashikaku?
Well, those are different. I think the idea of having a Sentai fighter in an isekai world is half novel enough, but this just looks like
that
this just
hasn't been
looks
done
like
before.
they had that idea and then did everything that would happen when you have that idea in the most generic way.
Yeah. All right. We are now out of the slop corner. We can go back to talking about decent shows. We're actually going to be talking about some good shows coming up. But
Oh, hell yeah.
we're actually about to talk about the best one right now.
That's right.
Oh, hell
Momentary
yeah.
Lily.
Oh, am I introing this? All right. So maybe some of y'all don't know about Studio Goat Hands, but there's a certain studio in the anime industry that I guess somehow is able to earn money and make profit. I don't know how that's possible. They brought you bangers such as Handshakers and what's the other one? The sequel to
Glasses
Handshakers.
Show.
Yeah, the
WZ.
Magane show from
They did
last
K
year.
as well.
Yeah, well, K is probably the only
Uh,
one that I think people think is good. But anyway, they have a certain style to their shows, and you can go maybe watch clips of any of them that we just mentioned, and you'll kind of get the idea. Momentary Lily is their new ambitious project coming out, and I really mean ambitious because they are trying hard. I can't. Watching the second trailer that actually just came out for this show was a sort of incredible experience because surely so much hard work went into making this. The animation is extensive. It is fluid. I'll give it that. There's a lot happening on the screen at all times, and it's not even I mean, there's CG elements in that the characters are moving around very quickly in a 3D environment, maybe too quickly enough to make you throw up, which is a trademark of Gohan's at this point. But there was a lot of work that went into this, and at the same time, almost everything is wrong from the ground up. It is hideous. The colors are washed out and clash horribly. None of the outfits and the hair look good together. The action is hard to keep up with. The camera movement is atrocious. The compositing and the visual effects do not match at all. The backgrounds don't look. The girls look like they are on a green screen, which is impossible because it's animation. And the one thing, I think that if this was not the case, I could almost maybe think it looks okay. everyone's hair looks like living spaghetti. What the fuck is going on? And that's the thing that other Gohan shows have had a little bit, but like it is, they have to be doing it on purpose. Maybe it's a plot point in the show. I don't know, but like everyone's hair looks like a monster on their head that is alive. Please go watch this trailer if you haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Something else.
This trailer is so sick. It's so ambitious too, which makes the way it fails so entertaining. Like that's why this doesn't go in the slop bucket, is that they believe in it. And they should not.
So beautiful. This is what I want Gohan to do. I don't want him to do
for real. I
glasses
want
romance.
Gohan's doing
I don't
shit
want him
like
to do
this.
a cat thing. I want him to do like over the top action, 50 hair strands flying in the air at all times. Bonky CGI fights. This is what I want from them.
I think, and obviously I'm not going to throw the word objectively around a bunch, but I think objectively the hair just looks terrible. I don't know, man. I can't understand how you animate that and you're like, yep, that's what hair looks like when you move in the air.
I want to point out in the synopsis that it says right at the end, equal parts slice of life and slick action. Momentary Lily will entice and entertain with its entirely distinct story and visuals.
I mean, that's their trademark.
It's the most nothing burger of a sentence that I've ever read.
What plot? Who cares? Like, I'm sure there are narratives in these shows. Like,
Handshakers has a lot of narratives.
Yeah, I was just saying it's not going to be good. I don't know if when Gohans make shows, they think that they are making a good show or they are making them bad on purpose. It really is hard to tell.
I just read another line from the synopsis. All of these moments and more will appear in Gohan's unmatched visual style as a fucking selling point.
I mean, yeah, Juan. How else
I
are
would
they gonna
describe
stay in
them as
business?
unmatched.
They are unique. I'll give them that. I mean, like,
One of
they
a
have a
kind.
style and they keep doing it over and over again.
I mean, it's working because we're gonna watch episode 1.
I don't
And
know if I'm gonna watch episode 1. Maybe I will.
I think I want to watch episode 1 just to see how bad it can be.
I have watched a lot of
I'm gonna
Gohan's
watch
episode ones.
1.
Yeah,
And fuck, dude, maybe it'll be enough for us to like keep hate watching it. I don't know.
it usually isn't. That's the sad thing. It's just they're a headache. It is hard visually to watch their shows. It really does hurt you. I don't know.
I want to meet the person that like genuinely loves every Gohan's production.
Thing. I think people, and no offense, maybe a little bit of offense, there are going to be fans of this show that watch the trailer and like, whoa, it's so cool. The action's so good. I don't know.
The camera work's so incredible.
Because I've heard people say that about other Gohan shows, and I'm like, are you blind? I don't get it, man. Maybe it's the first television show you've ever watched, and you don't know how cameras work. Anyway, that's enough for Momentary Lily, but you know, Studio Goat Hands is back, and if you know, you know.
Oh, we definitely spent more than a moment on this, Lily.
All right.
Can we kick him?
Live
y'all are closer.
deleted
I would
from
have to
the
fly.
podcast.
I would have to fly. Oh, you mean from the call? Oh, I see.
I'm from the podcast, but yeah.
All right. Next up, we got Neat.
Neat Kunoichi to Nazuka Dose Hajimemashita.
Or I'm living with an otaku Neat Kunoichi.
If she has a job, she's not a neat. Someone who just comes home, puts on a sweatshirt and plays video games after work isn't a neat. That's just a guy. Everybody does that. Ah!
Wow. I did not realize that this was the bit that Logan had prepared.
I've had that on my chest for a while. This is like a comedy about a hot girl, and it's not very funny. Can't recommend.
I also have the same problem in that I think that slapping the word neat when it doesn't apply makes me rationally angry. It's just stupid. It's fucking...
As a neat, I feel like my valor is being stolen.
Mm-hmm. Remember when neats were like sad in anime? Like, welcome to the NHK. Anyway. I
But now they're like quirky white girls.
I thought we were free from the like neat oversaturation. That was like a 2015 to 2020 like turbo fucking like popular trope, and it kind of died off because it was always kind of stupid, and I think I wanted to stay dead.
Well, no, it was always then isekais because that was like.
Well, yeah, but that only matters for like half of episode 1.
And then they, they find themselves and they're no longer neat because they're like, oh wow, I finally found a job
because the
that I
premise
can
doesn't
do.
matter anymore.
Yeah.
Or you could do Mashoku.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's the original. So anyway, we don't have to talk about this show.
No.
All right.
It's waifu bait. No, nothing
Speaking
else.
of waifu bait,
All right, Nihon a Yokoso Elf-san, or Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf. Dude, like, it's just
Is
waifu
this the
bait.
Stalker one?
Huh?
No, it's not. Okay, never mind.
we've done this before.
We've literally done this.
She doesn't
I think
even
like a
get
year ago.
fat. What's the point?
I think
hold
that
on.
there's some novelty to him. Apparently, he's been going to an isekai world in his dreams and like hanging out with this hot elf girl, and then she suddenly comes in real life. Yeah, sure, that's something, I guess. But then it just, it's obviously like
It's just a
what if
reverse
I had
isekai at that point.
What if I had a hot elf girlfriend? That's the premise. Yeah. If that's for
Yeah.
you, that's for you, I guess.
Whatever.
No, not for me. Okay, next up.
Logan, it's you,
Oh,
baby.
that's me. Okinawa de Suki ni Nata Koga Hogan Sukite Sura Sugiro.
Or Okitsura through. Oh no, it's literally just called Okitsura. That's the only English translation it has.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there's no way that the regional dialect humor manga was ever gonna play in America, but this felt rank from top to bottom. The ROM is extremely forced. The COM is inscrutable. The characters aren't even caricatures, and the art is just pig ugly. Even the scanslation was terrible, though I don't think that God's own translation could have salvaged this, so I don't know, I can't recommend this at all.
I assume this has to be literally for people that are from Okinawa or familiar with the culture, because otherwise I can't imagine why you would ever watch this. And also, like, the premise is that this guy moves to Okinawa, he falls in love with a cute Okinawan girl but can't understand her, so he has another friend translate, and in the process of that translation happening, the friend that is helping falls in love with the main character, and it is just the most generic love triangle setup of all time, except I refuse to believe that the Okinawan accent is so thick and impenetrable that the guy can't understand it or needs significant translation or can't like pick up the colloquialisms in a couple of weeks. I don't know, it just seems stupid.
I mean, Chris, have you ever met like a really southern drawl of a
We're
man?
from
like,
Texas.
like a boom. Well, I mean, have you ever met like a boomhauer in real life?
Yeah, but I can mostly like, it's not that bad.
I cannot understand boomhauer. What are you talking about?
That's because it's a joke.
Well, Boomhauer's mumbling as a gag. There are those
But there are
videos you
people
see
who-
of the
who speak
guys
like
in
Boomhauer.
Appalachia who you can't understand.
So like, and that's the bit. But like, instead of like being a big burly man, it's a cute anime
I
girl.
understand the concept, Juan. I just think it feels unrealistic, and I don't think it's
Yeah.
being played for comedy as much as it is being played for a romance plot setup.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, it is being played for comedy. It's just being played for
funny.
very bad comedy
or
in
at least,
addition
or
to
at
the
least
other things.
culturally inscrutable for English speakers. Yeah.
I think it's a pretty funny coincidence that last winter season, we had a Gyaru show about girls in Hokkaido, and now we got a Gyaru show of girls in Okinawa. So now we went from Sinnoh to Hoenn.
That's right. Because that's how we have to frame Japan.
Yeah, that's how I've always framed Japan in terms of Pokemon.
I
Pretty
transferred to
much.
Hoenn and fell in love with a girl, but I can't understand her dialect, and it's just horns. GPA.
It's the GPA horns.
Okay.
I think it's a little upsetting to me personally that as much as you guys are ragging on this kind of has my interest for some
Oh my
weird
god,
reason.
there's no way this is gonna be
Oh
good,
my
bro.
gosh,
Come
Juan.
on.
No, granted, I did not see the PV, so I don't know what the
It
animation
looks
is like.
fine. I don't know.
I think I want to give this an episode 1, though. Who knows? Maybe I'll drop it halfway through the episode.
I know exactly what's going to happen from like reading the premise and watching the trailer for like at least the first 6 or 7 episodes. I've already seen this anime in my mind. Why would I need to watch it? Anyway, moving on to a much
All
bigger
right,
show.
to Sakamoto Days. Clairvoyants are people who see the future. Someone who reads minds isn't a clairvoyant. That's just a guy. Everybody can do that.
That's right.
Sorry, that was grating on me the entire time I was reading this manga. But that was pretty much the only thing grating on me when I was reading this manga. This is the latest in a pretty long line of what I would describe as spy family exploitation. And the first that I've actually encountered to actually match the energy of Spy Family.
Mm.
When the action turns on, like this this manga turns on, and watching an overpowered guy fight wearing like the weight of a slight moral code is at least an interesting twist. I do wish that they did a little more work to make... Oh, yeah, sorry, I should actually explain the premise this time. This one's good. So it's basically Sakamoto is a retired hitman. They say he's out of shape, but he doesn't seem to be incapable of doing anything that he couldn't do before. He's just, like, big now.
Yeah.
And yeah, he retired because his wife didn't want him to kill anymore, but he keeps finding himself in situations where he has to fight people, and so he's trying to do that without killing them. And I wish that they did a little more work to make Sakamoto's non-lethalities more, like, obviously difficult. Like, him cutting guns in half is awesome, but then he starts, like, actively, like, slashing people across the chest with knives, and it's like, I don't know, man, it feels like you just got lucky with that whole not killing them thing. But the jokes are pretty solid. I love the character design. Sakamoto himself is a really good design, and I think that everybody's kind of got, like, there's a lot of personality put into the faces. I also like that Sakamoto's wife is simultaneously, like, completely mundane, not, like, a mind reader or a crazy assassin or anything, and simultaneously a total freak. Like, she's a complete weirdo.
Yeah, she's a freak.
And I think that's very funny. I'm going to recommend this on the condition that you have already seen Spy Family. If you haven't seen Spy Family, watch that first. But if you have, this is a lot of fun. I like it.
Yeah, I've actually read a decent chunk of this manga. It is a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see it adapted. I think that TMS is an interesting choice, and the trailer was good, but like, I don't know. I think it will be pretty good. I think it will be a pretty strong adaptation with good animation, but there were some moments that were a little wonky. But otherwise, I'm still very much looking forward to seeing this one in action, because I think an anime adaptation could actually benefit this one quite a lot, to see it in action. But the premise is really funny, and I like the characters well enough. So I've been looking forward to this one since it got announced. I knew once I read this manga a couple years ago, I was like, this is going to get an anime eventually. I am sure. It's been pretty popular.
Yeah, dude, like I remember hearing about this show like back in like 2020, and like this was like the like manga for a little bit. So I mean, like you can't go wrong with anime John Wick, like
except retired, but like actually retired and old.
Well, I mean, yeah. So it's just gonna be fun regardless. Logan, who is the clairvoyant character that you're talking about? Like,
he's a guy who was a former assassin who was sent to, like, cut off loose ends and take out Sakamoto, and stuff happens in the first chapter and he winds up joining the group.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's that guy, and he's clairvoyant
it's that
for some
guy.
reason.
No,
okay.
the girl is. The girl is.
No,
he's clairvoyant. He's clairvoyant. Okay, it's been a while since I read the manga.
So Sakamoto, I've been hearing about like Sakamoto almost as long. Sakamoto's been one of those like, oh, this would never get an anime kind of thing. Almost as long as like Komi-san's been going around.
I mean, I was sure it was going to get an adaptation.
It almost rivaled how much people were like, oh, this needs to get an anime. you know, almost as much as Komi-san. So I've been here for this manga for a long time. It's not the best adaptation. I do see because some of it gets a little wonky. That being said, they have already committed to being 2 seasons long.
Yeah,
it's like a split core and summer already. So like they're obviously kind of invested in doing the story. So I have high hopes. But yeah, this has been a long time coming.
I think it'll be fun. I think it's a fun premise, and that it'll draw in a lot of new fans, just because it's like a very easily likable, silly idea. And I think as long as the execution is at least solid, which it looks like it's going to be, it'll be a good time. Yeah. All right. Next up is Sora Iro Utility. It's time for Chris to get tricked into watching another golf anime because it's got lesbians in it, or at least the promise of them. This is another Yuri bait golf show, except I don't think there's going to be nearly as many rocket launchers in this one. However, this one looks to have pretty high production values, and I don't know, it seems cute, it seems fun. I am at least going to check it out. Off that alone, I don't know if it will be any good, but it looks at least to be a little bit better than some of the other golf shows from last year that I admittedly didn't end up watching. But you know, I'm not being targeted. Nothing can live up to Birdie Wing, obviously, but it's not trying to. It's not going for the sort of camp, extreme, insane plot lines. I think it's just a more, you know, standard sports show. But I'm gonna watch it. I don't know.
I mean, definitely the Yuri is what catches my attention more than the golf. So I definitely want to give it a chance on that. But also, I've had a curse where I dropped pretty much every sports show other than Blue Lock. But like even then, I did drop it. It just came back to it later. So maybe we'll do the same here. I don't know. I definitely do want to give this a shot at the very least.
I cannot believe Blue Lock was the one show you stuck with.
Yeah, especially with what happened. But
blame TikTok.
I don't think
do
TikTok,
about all sorts of things.
I don't think TikTok's gonna get really into this one. So
No, I don't think so.
They should have gotten really
Tim,
into
you got
Birdie
anything on
Wing.
this?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then we can
I've
move
been.
on.
This has been on my radar for a while, actually. So,
Because you're the golfer.
well, I just had heard that this was.
You're the
getting,
golfer, baby.
It's an original. You know, it looks cool. I like new originals.
Oh, it is original. Okay.
We've had 2 golfing animes this year, and Chris watched none of them.
I heard that
They were on Netflix.
Rising Impact was not good, and I heard and Oitonbo didn't. I'm sure it was fine. It just didn't seem that the anime itself was kind of low budget, and I don't know. It just wasn't very gripping to me. But I've heard people like Oitonbo. But anyway, whatever.
All right. Next up, we got Soise no Aquarian, Myth of Emotions. Now, we don't know a lot about this show. I mean, obviously, it's being based off of the series Soise no Aquarian, which is like from like what, like 2004, I think?
The original.
The original one,
I know
yeah.
very little about the Aquarian franchise.
2005.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I've been wanting to watch the show for a while because, like, I heard a lot of things about it, like, back in the day, you know. But so I don't know if this is like a reboot or like a retelling. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Tim, do you have any more information on this, or not really?
From what I know about the Aquarian series, which is basically nothing, this seems to be basically a brand new standalone that's like kind of in the same universe, but I have no idea how it's. I don't think it's related to any other past Aquarian at all. It was a very confusing premise where they're like talking jargon, half nonsense half the time, where it's like world ending, multiple universe, something with mana, something about missing card. That's a lot of things that was like they threw at you. I was very confused on. The basic premise seems to be basically just knockoff Neon Genesis, where it's like the world's gonna end by this weird alien angel creature and 3 kids for some reason are the chosen one. They have to defend the planet. I'm not sure how much of that is like similar to OG, you know, of the franchise, but like that's kind of what the premise seems to me. The art is very cartoony and like stands out from anything else in the franchise, and they kind
it's
of
very
lean.
penny and stocking.
Yeah, they lean into it a lot. Like they'll have like people talking speech bubbles, and then the characters will like break out of the speech bubbles, or they'll like crack the screen that we're watching. So they're very much leaning into the cartoon style, and I think that's kind of neat and creative of them. But there's just so much jargon and nonsense going on that I do not know what is going on in that show.
Sorry to any Aquarian fans in our audience, highly doubted, but I've never really heard anything good about Aquarian, like the original series. So I have a hard
Really?
time believing. Yeah, I feel
I think the original was pretty good.
not to be mean. It has a 7.08 on Mal. The original does.
That is pretty low.
And
for an older
I feel like
anime.
as far as like the mechas of this era, it never really gets brought up as like being a classic or anything. It's just kind of one of them, you know? Yeah, like I don't know. So maybe this one will be an improvement. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna watch it unless I hear it's like insane. Like it's satellite. I don't. Yeah,
I mean,
I'll give this show an episode.
that's crazy. That you're gonna watch an incredibly niche reboot of an incredibly niche mecha show that you didn't watch in originally.
Juan watching
No.
this and the Okinawa one is both insanely crazy to me.
This just feels. This is well. You do whatever you want with your time. Okay. Next up is Tasokare Hotel.
Tasakawa Hotel is base of.
Is it a visual
about a
novel?
hotel? I don't think so. I think it's
It
just
says
a
it's
normal
a
game.
This is a game, yeah.
It's just a game. So it's like it's a hotel that takes place between like. Isn't this like Twilight Realm? That's not really in the real world, but it's not really in the afterlife. And the people there, people like wander into there and they don't have any memories of their life, and they have to like wander the hotel to find clues about what the past memories and find out who
It's
they
a
were.
mobile game, apparently.
This premise seems very similar to like Death Parade, but without the weird suspense psychological aspect to it. Where, yeah, it's just like people die and you wander in and have to find out who they were.
It's got
I don't know if they die or not.
it's got
They just, like, wander in.
4.7 stars on Google Play. That's not bad.
How many reviews though? Is it like 3?
No, it has a lot actually. It's got 11,000
Okay, that's
and
a good amount.
100,000 plus downloads. So
So maybe it'll be good. I
yeah,
don't know.
who knows?
This is also like the one of 3 hotel animes that got announced for like this year or next year. So it's, I don't know. Japan's on this weird hotel kick where we don't get
Well, I mean, like
any,
whenever I
and
see
now
a
we get 3.
hotel like in a sunset setting, like I just think of Serena Beach from Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, I also thought about that. And Twilight Town from Kingdom Hearts, which I don't think that has any real connection, except for it's always like that time of day.
I think there's also a Twilight Town in Paper Mario 1000 Year Door. I think it's also called Twilight Town.
I think that this is an interesting enough premise, and I thought that the trailer had some cool visual ideas going on enough that I was going to check it out. It's a unique enough idea that I wanted to at least check it out. It's got the classic, like, it's a game adaptation, and that can be hard to do. And there aren't that many like good game adaptations out there, but I think it's got enough going on. Let's see if I made a Hotel California joke in the notes, so we don't need to do that if anyone was preparing to do that.
None of us were preparing for it, but you know we could go along with it. Like, Hotel California. I fucked up that song so
That's
bad.
definitely how it is. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never
It's a
stop watching
smartphone,
seasonal
which
anime.
is the biggest thing that's like the red flag is that smartphones adaptations
Hey,
don't usually go well.
That doesn't mean it's bad, but yeah,
Um,
sure. I agree that the adaptations. Also, the studio sucks ass.
the studio
Yeah, I
is
was
also
saying-
questionable as well.
Yeah, but
Who's the studio?
it's called
PRA.
PRA. They've made a bunch of really bad shows. So
They made Yuri Yuri.
no, that is they produced Yuri Yuri.
Oh.
They
Yeah,
made Bikini Warriors and a Bikini
Oh.
Warriors special.
The
Okay,
director's
cool.
also
I
not great
I
either.
see what you're saying
Vaz
now.
Rock.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
I'll Vaz on your rock.
that's
I
right.
don't know, but the PV looks fun enough, so maybe
Yeah,
it'll be
it's
fine.
got enough interesting ideas in it that I think I'm gonna check
I
it out.
definitely want to give this an episode.
We'll see.
I just want to know what's going on because
Yeah.
the synopsis does not tell you much other than it's like
Maybe I'll get my
pseudo-death
wife to play the
ray.
game, and then we'll report back. Because it feels like I'm her
Thank you
alley.
for your sacrifice.
I know,
Ellie.
it's so hard for me personally. Okay, Logan, tell us about Ubel Blatt. I don't know how to pronounce the umlaut.
Ubel Blot.
Ubel
Blatt.
Blatt.
Saying the name is the most fun you're gonna get out of this one.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I normally read the full first chapter, no matter how bad it gets. There is one rule, and that rule is if there is like on-screen visible sexual contact, then I bail. This one got a technical foul for a completely unnecessary, presumably rape scene about 4 pages in.
4 pages is crazy.
4 pages in. 4 pages.
I mean, like Goblin Slayer also did something similar.
Goblin Slayer's
Yeah,
also
well,
bad.
that's. Well, when I say that manga tell you what they are in chapter 1, even if they don't tell you what they're about, I feel like 4 pages to that kind of content, and then I actually did give it 1 more page since my no sex rule is mostly meant to sift out porn, and it didn't necessarily feel like it was supposed to be titillating. But then like the guy like punches through one of his allies' heads, and I felt like I just kind of understood where all of this was going well enough, and I didn't really need to see more of it. It was a little sad because this is a manga from 2005, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's an anime from 2005. It's like steel made before 1944. It's not contaminated. Or a fantasy specifically made before,
Wow,
you
I
know,
didn't realize it
the
was that
rise
old.
of
Yeah, it totally
Isekai.
is.
So I was like, oh my gosh, it might not be contaminated. And then it turns out it was contaminated with something completely different. Yeah, I can't personally recommend this.
Yeah, no, I don't want to watch this. It looks incredibly edgy and not very good. That was what I came away with. I mean,
Like that. Literally, that's all I had in my notes. That this like gives me Goblin Slayer vibes, and that's not a good thing. So for Logan to say that there's a rape scene within 4 pages,
it's
I
got
guess
the
you're right.
it's got the etchy
Yeah.
tag too. How pleasant.
yeah. So
Yeah, it just seems like a very edgy fantasy. And that's it. This is an old manga too, so I don't know why it's getting adapted now.
Yeah, it
'Cause
is
this from,
a wild pickup.
2004.
Yeah, but I
Okay,
looked
stop
into it a
publishing.
little bit. It apparently
It's the
went
20-year
on for a
anniversary.
very
It went
long
on
time.
until 2019. Yes,
That's
But, like,
crazy.
a
'Cause
15-year
I've never
run.
heard of this.
That year long of a
23
run and no anime
volumes.
adaptation until now is, I don't know. Maybe there's
Well,
a
I mean,
reason
like,
for that.
Famously, Mushoku Tensei
Mhm.
also like
Yeah.
started like 2004, I think, and then it got adapted until 2021, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. That is wild
Anyway, we'll always have saying Yubel Blot,
Yeah.
which is pretty funny.
though. Ubel Blot.
Didn't Vinland Saga start like in the
Blot.
late 90s and like it's
yeah,
only
but
just now finished?
Vinland. Yeah, but that's because it's on that ended now, and it's probably a good time to start the anime.
And also, Vinland was hard to adapt because it's, you know, dense and historical and all that. And I'm glad it finally did get a good one. But all right, last one. We have Zenshu, which is the new original anime from Mappa coming out. So this one is about a recent high school grad that starts a career as an animator. And who's very talented. She actually makes her directorial debut pretty quickly, and her first anime is even a huge hit. And so she is now suddenly very famous as this up and coming like prodigy genius director. But her next project is supposed to be a rom-com movie that is focused about first love, except that she's like a fucking loser and has never been in love. So she's having a lot of writer's block about trying to get this going. And in the process, and this is just from the trailer, and it's kind of unclear how this is going to work mechanically. It looks like maybe in a sort of mind palace way, or maybe in a very literal way, she gets sucked into her original work with her original characters from the first one, and she's kind of sort of isekai'd into the fantasy world. I don't know. It's a little abstract from the trailer and hard to tell. But I am very excited for this.
Seems more like a mind palace kind of thing, where she's just like imagining the world and she's like self-insert stuff inside. Then it's like her actually go into an actual fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the PV gives off like 90% like fantasy vibes
Yeah.
and very action kind of oriented. So I don't know where the whole like rom-com movie aspects come in, or how much of the real world is going to take place, because the PV gives off like very different,
I agree.
heavy fancy
It's going to
action
be really
vibes.
interesting to see how it's introduced. Also, I think it's an interesting choice to portray the main character the way she's portrayed, which is like her hair is in her face, but it's to a comical degree. You literally can't see her face. It's just hair. And she's in a hoodie. So it is like, I don't know. It'll be, this feels a little art house, and I'm very curious to see what the execution is going to be like, but I am excited.
As someone who wore a wig at the con, how the fuck did she stand to have her hair in front of her eyes like that?
Well,
Every single time the hair was in front of my eyes, I wanted to kill myself.
because it's a fictional work, Juan.
I know, but like realistically,
Also,
Girls
when you have a lot of
in front
hair,
their
you
eyes,
do
yeah.
kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
Like, as
Like
Logan,
it's
Logan
weird for
talks
you
about-
because you've had short hair like your entire life, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
My
yeah,
hair
my hair
just goes
sometimes
straight up.
gets in my eyes, and it occasionally annoys me. But
No, but like your
it's-
entire head of hair in front of your eyes.
It's not that bad.
that would be a lot. But I think it's a striking visual, at
It
least.
does make for an interesting style. Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing for me about Zenshu, is that like the premise, especially as you've described it, doesn't make it sound like anything I would like at all.
I think
but
it's got the. It's like about artists and animation and stuff. I will say there is a shot literally ripped out of Look Back in the trailer, and I was like, I assume that's more of an
Oh
homage.
shit!
I assume that's more of an homage than a ripoff, but I was like, interesting. We'll
Mhm.
see.
Well, is
But
it like the
I-
running in the rain scene?
No, it's like her working at a desk turned around from the back, like the shot.
Oh yeah.
hmm But yeah, I'm willing to give this a shot just because like the presentation of it seems like really. I like anything that has kind of a more abstract presentation. So I'm willing to give this a shot.
Yeah.
Let's go. We got Logan into an original anime. Fuck yeah.
I think that this director's pretty good too, and he's worked on some good projects. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. And Mappa Original is at least usually worth checking out, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, dude. Like it's fucking Mappa. Like fuck yeah.
I mean, Buchigiri wasn't a great sign, but it's fine.
Was that their last original anime, Buchigiri?
Yeah, that was the last original.
Unfortunately, yes. And I'm not trying to make any bold claims like
Like we did last year.
no, that like every single Mappa original is good or anything. Like they're not.
No, they're not good, but like they're definitely
Okay.
like at a minimum kind of fun.
Yeah, and they have some stuff going on. They're interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like this director has not done much recently.
I really like Sleepy Princess and the Demon Castle, and that was his most recent directorial work. So
I feel like that tonally and directionally is very different from what
it
this
is,
show's
but
doing.
it is at
So
least
I
visually
cannot
creative. So I will give it that
Make a good comparison.
for sure. All right. That is it for our new shows. We are going to move into our sequel power hour. We are going to quickly go through some of these sequels. Some of them we're not going to spend very much time on at all, just to let you know what's happening. A couple of them we might spend some more time talking about. So Our Exorcist is getting the season 5. This is the sort of branch one where it got a sequel. I don't think any of us are watching this. Is that correct?
No.
I will once I refresh my memory on what happened in Blue Exorcist.
Okay. Bang Dream is getting a new season. I don't think any of us are Bang Dream fans, but excited for you if you are. Dr. Stone Science Future. I don't know enough about the manga to know if this is going to be the last season, but I think it's the start of the last arc from what I know.
They're going to
think
break
they
it
said
up.
that.
It's like
Yeah.
last season, part 1, and going to be last season,
Probably
part 2.
2 and 3 or
and
maybe.
part 3.
Yeah.
Yep,
I think they
that's what
said
they're
three.
gonna do.
They said 3 parts.
Yeah,
I think.
but I'm pumped. I love Dr. Stone. I think a lot of us in the podcast are big Dr. Stone fans. So
yeah.
I'm excited to see the end of this arc, and I liked the last season. I thought it was cool. But curious to see where it goes from here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new Grisaya, if you're into that franchise. I think it's a sort of a sequel to Fruit of Grisaya. I haven't read any of these VNs or watched any of these shows.
There was a movie of this, and this is a sequel of the movie, I believe.
Okay, got it. If you know, you know, I guess. Ishura, the action show from a couple of seasons ago, is getting a season 2. I didn't watch it. I think Tim did. Um, eh, yeah. Anything else about that?
It's going to be interesting where the show continues, considering they killed off like half their cast in
Well,
the first season.
maybe they'll make new characters. Toilet Bound Hanako-kun is actually getting a second season. This was kind of a big hit when it came out. Had surprising staying power and a big fandom, which I thought was interesting. It's weird what like the general anime fandom will latch onto. This one got like really popular for some reason. I like it. I think it's cool and I like the art style, but I'm excited to see more of it. There was a spinoff that got a bunch of seasons for some reason. I never watched any of that. I don't think it matters. This is like the actual season 2 of the actual show. So interested to see more of this. I don't know if we have any
Make sure the shipping kept it alive.
Yeah, it's a lot of like shipping fans. I think we're into it. Next one, 100 Girlfriends.
Dude, I'm so excited for 100 Girlfriends season 2. I forgot that this was happening so soon. From what I can tell in the preview art, that there are 5 more girls, so that means there's gonna be 11 girlfriends by the end of the season.
I feel like I gotta pick up.
We just need 20 seasons. Yeah, that's
I was
the
gonna
whole
say,
show.
we really gotta pick up the pace here, guys.
Like I said, I made this prediction a long time ago. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get like a school bus or something, or like a classroom full of girls.
I just think it's gonna be like One Piece and have 1,000 chapters. All right. Kinokumen Kanpeki Chojin Shishohen season 2. I don't know what this is, or
Ultimate Muscle. I remember that show from the early 2000s. I think there was a new show recently, and now it's season 2. So
Cool.
that's that. There we go.
It was a continuation of the original animation. So
Oh, it
like
was. Okay.
nobody watched the original, so nobody watched the sequel.
Yeah. 1,000
And this is
members.
the continuing of that. So
all right.
Interesting.
Big one. Apothecary Diaries season 2, Kusaria. Extremely excited. This is probably the thing that I am looking forward to the most by far this season, even including all the new shows. This is one of my.
Is this 2 core?
That's a great
we
question.
do not know.
Hasn't been announced yet. Hope it is.
Okay.
But obviously season 1 was phenomenal. One of the best shows of this year. So I'm excited. It's a great way to start out 2025. So pumped for that. I'm actually rewatching season 1 right now with my wife. It's a fucking peak. More Precure. This is season 2 to Mahotsukai Precure Mirai Days, which is going on. I've heard it's good. If you're into Precure. Solo Leveling season 2. Didn't finish season 1 because it was bad. Matt, that's a little aggressive. It was mid. And I didn't care.
I hate that season 1 ended like kind of good, and I'm like, you know what? I'm a little interested to see where it goes. So I'm gonna watch season 2, and maybe I'll keep up with it.
Yeah, maybe it gets
We'll see.
better. I think a lot of these webtoons do improve as they go on, but like I don't care. I wasn't convinced. I know a lot of people are really into this one, but I don't know. Webtoons is
Jed gonna come in and defend it?
well, he's not on this podcast. Yeah, my youngest brother really likes this, but I don't care. I don't even know what Unite Up is, but it's getting another season. Yippee! It seems like a boy
It's a
singing
Boys
show.
Idol.
Yeah, boys idol show. Good for them. Unnamed Memory is getting a second season. I also don't remember which that one was. And then
Unite Up also is Cloverworks, so
yeah, and then My
see how
Happy
that goes.
Marriage is getting a second season. I will probably watch this. I thought season 1 was pretty good. It was okay, actually. It was a little wonky.
I think it fell off towards the end, but hopefully,
hopefully it
they can
picks
make
up.
a
This is
rebound.
it is at least gorgeous. One of the best looking shows I watched that year. Very pretty Cannabis Citrus production,
Yeah,
and it's a sweet romance. I like their dynamic. It's a nice little period piece, and I think the fantasy and magic elements are pretty cool too. And hopefully we'll get more of that this season. Should be dropping soon. And that is it for our sequels. So with that, I believe we have done it. We have gone through our winter anime. Nice. Now we got to do a top 3. All right, what are everyone's top 3 shows? Let's do non-sequels and stick to the new stuff.
Yeah. No sequels. Should we exclude Sakamoto Days, or
No,
can we?
no. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think everything's on the table.
Everything's on the table this time.
Everything's on the table. Okay, so definitely Sakamoto Days. I'm gonna go with Hanawasaku. And the third one, I always forget that we do these. So I'm trying to come up with this on the spot.
Right.
But I think Zenshu. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be my third one.
Okay. For me, I believe it's going to be Hanawasaku. Um, ooh, ooh, ooh. Zenshu for sure, and then I feel like there was another one.
Sakamoto Days.
No, I mean, like, I'm trying to avoid saying Sakamoto Days.
Momentary
I think
Lily.
you can say that if you want.
I hope
Just say
I'll say
Sakamoto.
medalist, and I'll hope that it is good enough. Oh, Fate Strange Fake. Never mind. I'll do Fate Strange Fake as my third. Yeah, that's an easy one.
Okay.
We're not guild. Weren't you the biggest guild?
I never
shill
said
here,
I was
Chris?
gonna watch that. I just said it was the most impressive of the Isekai Slop. Let's relax here.
The cream of the crap. I'm gonna give my number 1 to Sakamoto Days, my number 2 speculatively to Strange Fake, and my number 3 also speculatively to Zenshu.
That's crazy that the two of you have never seen Fate said Fate on your top 3.
Look, it just looks sauce.
Anyways,
I've
top
seen
3.
Bakuno.
It's the Bakuno. That's,
Yeah, we're big
that's selling
fans.
it to them.
I like
Easy
Narita.
one is Hanawasaku, Finding Hibike's. Easy. Number 2 is Zenshu. I'm always a fan for like production, anime, manga production kind of stuff. That's easy number 2 for me. And number 3 will be let's go with the Anime MD House.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
I kind of forgot
That one
about
was
that
interesting. I'm fake doesn't have that one.
I think my honorable mention, obviously Sakamoto Days, but my other honorable mention will be to Akiyaku Reijo, the villainous salaryman one. I think that one could be cool. We'll see.
My honorary mention would be Momentary Lily.
I don't want to give. I'm not giving nothing, no awards, no credit to Gohans. They gotta earn it. No more,
Isn't it gonna be crazy
no more
when it's gonna
spaghetti
win Anime of the
monsters.
Year?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean,
What if they're good though? What if it actually ends up being good?
it won? There's no way. Like, just from the trailer, if the footage from the trailer aired in the show, I don't think it will be.
Okay, I forgot about the trailer existing.
All right. That does it. That wraps us up for our winter anime preview for our shows in the new year. Hope you guys are getting excited. I think this is a pretty fun looking season. The next episode that should be coming out is our fall review, where we're going to go through all the shows from fall and review them. There's a lot of good stuff, actually. And until then, we will see you guys next time. Thanks for stopping by.
Later.
Jubel blah.